O Guru, O Guru, O Guru, O Guru, O Guru. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Guru Pirasat Sangat Ji, yesterday when Panji asked a question, we were talking about Hukam. So I thought it would be appropriate that today's topic be on Hukam. Because when we talked about Hukam yesterday, one of the things we discussed is we said, so all the lying, the cheating, the stealing, all the thievery, is that all in Hukam? And of course the answer is no, that's not in Hukam. Then what is Hukam? And Gurbani gives the definition of Hukam as Naam. Naam is the sound of Vaheguru's Avaz. Tomorrow, we're going to cover the difference between Gurmantar and Naam. We're going to go extensively through the difference of Gurmantar and Naam so that it's explained to you what this Naam is, where this Naam came from, and how to find this Naam within the body. Is Dai Andar Naam ke Vasa. How you find this Naam. We're going to touch on the topic a little bit today in the context of Hukam. So let's just back up and talk about where the word Hukam came from. Hukam is a Middle Eastern word that's used for the law. It's when someone made a decision on Sharia law and there was some decision that needed to be weighed and there was some conflict there. Someone would ask the person, they go, here is the conflict, what is the decision? They would say the Hukam is this. Just to give you an idea, when Moses brought the 10 Commandments down, they said, this is the hukam that God gave him. That's why he wrote it on the tablets. In Dharmic religions, traditionally, if you look at Sikhism, Hinduism, Buddhism, they don't care so much about the law, they care more about karam. That's the context which people view things. And when it comes to karam, Gurbani says, if you want to erase all your karam, very easy. All you have to do is get to Naam. In Semitic religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, what they are obsessed with is what is the law. How do I know what if I'm doing is right or what I'm doing is wrong? How do I weigh my balance? Because if you look at everything as judgment day, because in the context of how they view the world, where they say, look, at the end of my life I get judged and I either go to heaven or I go to hell. They ask themselves, they go in those moral gray grounds, how do I know what actions I'm doing are correct and what actions I'm not doing are correct? So there are big canons of work on saying this is right, this is wrong. This is right, this is wrong. And where there are gray areas, then they would go to a religious official to go make the determination on what the hukam was. Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji made it very simple. He explained that hukam was Naam. In Gurbani explains, Eko Naam Hukam Hai, Nanak Satguru Dev Bujai Jio. Meaning, if you hear God's voice, all your actions are correct. When you don't hear God's voice, all your actions are not correct. So we're going to walk through what the hukam is, how to get to that hukam from within ourselves. The first hukam is this. It says, Hukme sa gra denda jane. It says the giver of hukam gives us sa and gra. First thing is we've talked a lot about sas gra simran. But the first thing we have to realize is God, as the giver of hukam, gives us our sas, gives us our gras. Gras means your food. The two things that give you life are air and essentially food. Without those two things, you don't have life. The reason why you have to do Saskra Simran with every breath is the moment that you go ahead and you do Why Guru, Why Guru. All the time, you remember who's the giver. The moment you forget who gives you your breath, the moment that you forget who gives you life, is the moment that you are dead. Think about the times of great peril in your life, when you've had the most suffering. In those moments, those darkest moments, are the times where you have forgotten who gives you breath and who gives you life. Yes or no? Happiness comes back when your priorities change. Okay? So the first thing is, Waheguru is the giver of Hukam. Now we talked a lot about Pavan Guru. The difference between Pavan Guru and Shabad Guru. Pavan is the Guru of Maya. Pavan is the thing where our mind enters and it gets lost in. But the moment the mind knows how to enter into the desh of Pavan, a country of Pavan, and disconnect from the Pavan, that is the moment the mind learns how to be free. The first thing you do when you're born is do what? Breathe. What's the last thing you do before you die? Breathe. So your whole life dictated on this planet is dictated by your breath. The reason why we cannot control the mind is because we cannot control the breath. And Gurbani says, lust and anger are brought under control when the Pavan does not fly around wandering restlessly. All day, do you manage your Pavan, yes or no? Gurbani says there's one easy way to manage your Pavan. Do Saskra Simran, your Pavan is managed. Why, Guru? Why, Guru? It's all managed. But the problem is because we don't manage the Pavan, we don't manage the mind, thus lust and anger ruin us. Dwelling in Nirankar's desh, realizing the Hukam, his wisdom is attained. Nirankar's desh. There is a difference between Kal's desh and Nirankar's desh. Yesterday we covered the difference between Akal and Kal. Kal is the governor of Maya, and Akal is Waheguru Nirankar. When your mind enters into Maya, Maya are all your thoughts, Rajagun, Satagun, Tamogun, then what happens is Kal takes over the body. When your mind stays with Nam, then Waheguru is in charge, then Waheguru is the driver of the body. So the question yesterday that we asked everyone was, if the mind is the driver of the body, who drives your mind? Is it Kal or Akal? If you're not connected with Nam, you can't hear Nam, then it's Kal. So how do you get to the point where the mind is connected back to Waheguru in Nirankar's desh? Okay? Gurbani tells us, one who controls the uncontrollable holes, or one who controls the uncontrollable, that's the mind, closes the 9 holes of the body. What are the 9 openings of the body? We have 2 below, we have eyes, we have ears, we have nostrils, we have a mouth, that all adds up to 9. These are the 9 openings of the body. When we hear something, our ears go in that direction. When we see something, our eyes go in that direction. The problem is in old days, yogis and other people who would try to do meditation, they would go ahead and try to physically close these things. Gurbani says, no, the mind just has to extract itself from them. So I'll give you a very small example. When you go to sleep at nighttime, do you hear everything around you? 9 doors open, 9 doors closed. When you go to sleep at nighttime, do you hear everything around you? No. 9 doors open, 9 doors closed. Why we do japna the way we do is to learn how to go ahead and make the mind sit in a place where it's closed off. So I'll give, Virgie and I were talking about maybe trying to find some time where we can do 2-3 days abhyas together. But in that time period, what we'll show you how to do is how to close these no darwaje. Only Waheguru can open up Dasam Dwar, but we'll give you the juktis on how to close these no darwaje. Okay? Now, it says, where has he come from? Where will he go? Oh, sorry, one line before that. One who worships and adorns the Lord with his prawn stabilizes the body. The first thing we have to understand is that our mind cannot be stable until we learn not to have the body dictate where we want to go, but the mind is in control of the body. It says, where has he come from? Where will he go? Remaining dead while alive, he is accepted and approved. Whoever understands the hukam realizes the essence of reality. This is known by Guru's grace. O Nanak, know this. Egotism leads to bondage. Only those who have no ego, no self-conceit, are not consigned to reincarnation. We talked about Lakshara Sijun. Okay, this afternoon we're going to cover one big topic all on ego. By Gurbani's definition, what home is. So we'll cover that today. So I'm going to pass that over and we're going to talk about that this afternoon. Whatever happens, accept as good. Realize the hukam and your durmat will be burnt away. When it's saying accept anything that happens, accept as good, then why did Guru Gobind Singh give us a kirpan? Why did we go ahead and are we willing to stand against injustice? When it says accept what happens to whom? To you as good. Why does it ask you to accept what is good? It asks you to accept what is good because the mind is always looking for an excuse. It does not understand it gets what it gets because of its karma. Everything you got in this life is a product of your previous life's karma. Think about it. My dad's from Burma. My mom is from Bihar. How did I get born in Chicago? How did you end up by getting here in Malaysia? How did we come together? How did someone from Chicago, someone from Canada, someone from England, someone from Australia, how did we all come together to come here? We all came here because it is our karam. Our dana pani is written here. What we're meant to eat is written here. Our shelter is written here. If I didn't come here, I wouldn't have a place to stay. I wouldn't have a food to eat. I wouldn't have anything that I needed to survive. Right? All of those things are a product of our karam. It says, when we get into a habit of saying, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? This is called durmat. It's dirt upon dirt thinking. There is a difference between manmat and durmat. Manmat is when you decide to go in your own way of thinking. Durmat is like dirt upon dirt thinking. That kurdepal, that wall of separation, it increases. And rather than trying to find the solution on why bad things are happening, what do? You keep on dwelling on the bad things. Gurbani says if you want to change something, it's very easy. If you do Simran and Gurmat, everything will change. I'll give you an example. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when he fed people, did he feed saints, people who jap naam, or did he just feed random homeless people? He fed saints. We know from the story of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when he was young, he took 20 paisa, and who did he feed? People who did naam jap. If they jap naam with him, then he fed them. If they didn't jap naam, did he feed them? Today, when we do langar and we see all the good acts people are doing, they're feeding people. Yes, that's good. But did they change their karam at all? Why are people impoverished? Why do they have poverty? Why do they have difficulty? Gurbani says it's because of their karam. And Gurbani says if you want to have them break that karam, very easy. Just go ahead and teach them to do Simran. Then feed them, clothe them, take care of them, but do it in such a way that you teach them how to overcome their karam rather than just going ahead and giving things away. Does this make sense? Okay. Here are the 3 gunas of Maya. We talked about it before, but it's very important to cover this. When our mind is trapped in Maya, then our mind is trapped in karam. Gurbani says there are 3 gunas of Maya. One is Rajagun, one is Satagun, one is Tamogun. If you don't understand these 3 gunas, you don't know what thoughts you're taking. Gurbani says we should take a lekha every day. How many thoughts do we put in Rajagun? How many thoughts we have in Tamogun? How many thoughts we have in Satagun? So, how many of you guys keep account of where you keep your thoughts? Anyone here? Okay, Rajagun, well, let's just do some quick guessing, okay? Like for the year, since we're at the end of the year, let's just talk about it. Like Rajagun is hopes, wishes, desires, anxieties, and worries. Okay. Tamugun is Kam, Krodh, Lodh, Modh, Hankar. Raj, Jat, Rup, Jobin, Mal, Nindya, Chugli, Irkha, Dwath, Nafrat, Home. Okay? Satagun is Daya, Dharam, Sat, Santokh, Sanshil. Okay. Let's start off real easy. How many people would say that their thoughts, we're going to go up a scale, okay? We'll go through it. Like, I'm going to divide it into such a way like it's thirds. How many people would say more than 50% of your thoughts are in Rajagun? Raise your hand. For the last year, raise your hand. Okay, that's good. How many would say 50% of their thoughts are in Tamogun? Kam, Krodh, Lodh, Modh, Hankar doesn't bother anyone here? Raj, Jat, Rup, Jobin, Mal? Irkha, Dwath, Nafrat, Nindya, Chugli? I have one honest person. I have a second honest person. I got a third honest person. Right? When we go ahead and we understand, and then how many people would say 50% of their thoughts are in Satagun? Anytime you want to do something, is it in Rajo, Tamo, or Sato? It's Rajo. It's hopes, wishes, desires, anxieties, worries. Right? Okay? Anytime you want to do something bad, what is it? It's in Tamo. What is the problem with Satagun? We're going to talk about it today in the afternoon. One of the issues is every time you're going through Satagun, one of the issues everybody has is the infection of ego always comes into play. So you can do good things, then you keep on thinking about all the good things that you do. Say, I do this good, I do this good, I do that good. Then what happens is that you get infected by ego in Satagun. That's why Gurbani says you have to overcome all three of these gunas. You have to live above all three. Okay? I always joke around. I tell everyone this took me 7 years to make this slide. It says, Kiv sichara hoye, kiv kure, tutte, pa. There's only one wall of separation between you and Waheguru. What causes kur between you and the mind? It is your thoughts. If you don't have thoughts, you don't have kur. Everything here adds to the kur. Rajo, Sato, Tamo, it's all kur de pa. All your soche soch, all your chuppe chup, all your pukya puk, right? All your wisdom. All of these things add to kur. Kur raja, kur parja, kur sabsan sar. All of these things add more kur on the mind. So how do we cleanse this mind? How do we go ahead and break the wall of separation? How do we get to Waheguru, who were separated by our thoughts? Gurbani says, Hukam Rajai Chalna Nanak Likya Naam. It says, go the path of Hukam, walk it, and find what's written within you. Has anyone looked to see what's written in them? Gurbani has an answer on what is written, what is the Hukam that is given to you. It's not written in letters. It's written in a way that you know the difference between Kal's Desh and Nirankar's Desh. Gurbani says what is written to you into you is this thing. Mastak hove likya har simar prani. What are you supposed to do? Remember God with every other breath, every 10th breath, every 100th breath, or every breath? You read Japji Sahib every day. Kiv sichara hoy, kiv kure tutte pal. It asks the question, how do you go ahead and break the wall of kur? And it says, Hukam Rajai Chalna Nanak Likya? No. It's written inside you the answer to the question. Did you ever search for the answer? It says over here, Mastako hove likye har simar prani. With every breath, you have to remember God. Now, how do you remember God with every breath? It's just not tota ratan, meaning it's just not like a parrot repeating it over and over again. This is the biggest fallacy people have. Everything we do, it's like we do on auto. But we covered that yesterday. If the mind is the driver of the body, who's driving the mind? When you're on auto, is it kal or akal? It's kal. When you're doing with dhyan, it becomes waiguru. Look what it says. It says, Sif salah teri hukam rajai. Where else do you see the word Sif salah? You read Japji Sahib every day? Where else is Sif salah? Can anyone tell me? Nanak Patshahi Path Shah. Just know Baksho Sif salah Nanak Patshahi Patsha. What is Sif salah? Gurbani says, Vaho Sif salah hai. When you do Waiguru, it's called Sif salah. You are Patsai Patsa. You become the King of Kings. I know everybody is very proud to call Satguru King of Kings, but Gurmani calls you King of Kings if you do what? Sif salah. If you're blessed to do this Sif salah, you are also Patshai Patsha. Why? Because who's doing the Sif salah? It's Waiguru. It's a Sif salah teri hukam rajai. You want to go walk the path of Hukam, what do you have to do? You have to do Waiguru. Okay? Now, so Gyan, Dhyan, Jot, the Pai. You need to have Gyan and you need to have Dhyan. That means you need to know where to put your Dhyan and you need to know why you're doing what you're doing. Why do we do Simran? It's to stop our thoughts. Why do we need to stop our thoughts? Because what makes the mind dirty? It is Maya. And Maya is our thoughts. And if we can't cleanse our mind from the Maya, how are we supposed to get to Hukam? It says, do jap in that way that pleases God. It says, soy jap, jo prab jio, pave, pane, pure jnana jio. It says, do jap in a way that pleases God when you accept His will, that is pure knowledge. Look what it says. This is my favorite quote in Gurbani, to be honest with you. The reason why it's my favorite is because it tells you everything. Gyan and Dhyan. Do you do things with Gyan and Dhyan? When you read, is Gurbani for chanting or is Gurbani for learning? Is Gurbani for just reading or is Gurbani for learning? Everybody knows Gurbani is for learning. But do you treat it as something that you just chant or do you treat it as something that you learn from? Now, look, we have educated people in the Sangat here today. Okay? If you just read the book but you never learned anything, would you get anywhere? Gurbani tells us Gyan and Dhyan. How many of you, when you read your Nitnem, do it with Dhyan? When you read Raras, you do it with Dhyan. The action of doing Nitnem is important because these 5 Banis, they teach us important values. But if you don't do it with Dhyan, then what are you doing? This is why it's so important. You have to think long and hard. What are you doing? Okay? Now we get to the good stuff. Nam. Nam is the sound of Waiguru's avaz. It says, Kita pasao eko kavao. This Nam that came from Waiguru, it made everything. That's why Gurbani says, you know, in Hinduism, if you read the Upanishads, they talk a lot about Sat Asat. Sat Asat. It says, this is Sat, this is Asat. This is true, this is false. This is true, this is false. Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji, every time they asked him, they said, what is true, what is false? What did he say was true? He says, Sat, Nam. Nam is not found in Thregon. Nam is not found in Maya. Nam is found where? Inside of you. Nam is the thing who gives you, Satguru gives. Satguru Sikko Nam Tan De. Nam is the sound of Waiguru's avaz. that we have to connect to and our mind needs to connect to. It says, Hukam bujhe, soy pravan, sacha shabad jaka nishan. It says this sacha shabad, this anhad bani, this sage tun, this naad, this is the nishan of the Dasam Dwar. This is the nishan to know if you got spiritually someplace, if you broke the wall of Kur. How do you know your Simran is on the right track? Gurbani says, when you break that wall of Kur and you hear such a Shabad, you're on the right track. If you have not gotten there, keep going. Keep purifying. Keep making this mind pure. When you do it, then you'll be free. This is also important because people say, well, when do I get mukath? And Gurbani explains to us that when we hear this Shabad, when we hear this Anand Bani and we do Vaiguru's Darshan, then we're mukath. People will try to convince you you're mukath by other things. But until you see Vaiguru and you hear Vaiguru, you're not mukath. And so Gurbani says, leave aside all your calculations, everything else, until you see Vaiguru, until you hear Vaiguru, you have not received liberation. Okay? Gurbani says the deeds you do should spread like a vine, its fruit is nam. It has no form or shape. It plays as anhad. And the Shabad that is revealed is beyond Maya. So when you do the deeds that are good, do you do them because you're instructed by Vaiguru, Akal, or do you do them because you're instructed by Kal? By Akal. And this is very important because now all the actions you do are good because they're all done by Vaiguru. Okay? Let's take a little bit of a break. Let's do some Simran. Let's focus on the sound of our voice. Let's close these no darwaje. Let's close out all outside interference and just listen to the Simran. If you can't listen to your voice, at least listen to my voice. Vaiguru, 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 Guru, Wah, 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 Guru, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So what's the first thing you need to control in Hukam? Let's go back through. One controls the uncontrollable, closes the 9 holes of the body. So if you can't keep the eyes closed, can you control the mind? Yes or no? Okay, let's start again. Let's keep our eyes closed. Let's focus on our voice. Let's begin. Waheguru, 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 Waheguru. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So just to recap, who gives us sauce? Who gives us sauce? Who gives it to us? Waheguru. Who gives us our sauce? Waheguru. Who gives us our grass? It is Waheguru. When we don't remember Waheguru with every breath, with everything that gives us life, are we dead or alive? Gurbani says, Kya sovana, kya jagana, gurmukh te pravan, jin saas gras na visre se pure purak pardhan. It says, if you want to remain awake, you don't want to be asleep, then you have to do Sahasrara Simran because you remember who gave you life. And you know what Gurbani says? When you do Sahasrara Simran, you're perfect. You don't have to change anything about you as long as you're doing Waheguru, Waheguru. Everything about you is perfect. You don't have to want changes. The changes will automatically come. Gurbani says, everything about you is perfect. All you have to do is Waheguru, Waheguru. Say Pure Purk Pradhan. It means you are perfection. You are the embodiment of perfection when you do the Sanskrit Simran. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. What puts dirt on the mind? Thoughts. What makes the wall of Kur larger? It's our thoughts. What cleanses the mind? When we do Simran. So if you do Simran while you do everything you do, will your mind get dirty or your mind will get clean? That's why what happens is we have to understand, how come we feel, when you're young, you're happy. Then when you get a little, I used to ask this question to everybody. I go, were you happier at 4 or happier at 8? Everybody says I'm happier at 4. I said, were you happy at 16 or happier at 8? I'm happier at 8. Were you happy at 24 or happy at 16? I was happier at 16. Were you happier at 32 or 24? 24. Why was everyone happier? Because the wall of Kur only got larger or smaller. Over time, more and more Kur builds up. More and more thoughts. If you think about all your anxiety, all your worries, all the things that cause you kind of consternation, it is a product of what? Your thoughts. Okay? So, how do we cleanse the mind? Gurmani says, when we do Simran, we cleanse the mind. Okay? Let's do a few more minutes of Simran. Then what we're going to do is I'll take question and answer outside because the ambiance isn't kind of good inside. So we'll take question and answer outside. And then what we'll do is we'll have a discussion about what is Hukam, how do we go ahead and achieve those things. Let us go ahead and listen to the sound of our voice. Let's begin. Waheguru, 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 Waheguru. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी का फतेह. So our Guru Pyare Satsang ji will go outside. Whatever questions anyone has, we'll take it there. ठीक? वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह.